If AI falls into the wrong hands, if we don't get control of it, what is the worst case scenario? Let's go there first. Let's go Terminator.
Worst case scenario would be AI never truly reaches the potential of increasing productivity and revolutionizing the world. It stays in kind of the corporate big tech companies using it and wielding it in a way that benefits them.
People, again, this is another fear that it's going to take our jobs. What, in your opinion, are the jobs that are at risk?
If your job is to do a contextual, undifferentiated work, then that is right for AI to take over.
How can I really maximize and benefit the tools, the technology for my greater good, to get ahead in my career, to get ahead in my business?
For example, I think one thing that I would hate for the world to go to would be
Samantha, welcome to the Career Confidence Podcast today. I'm absolutely delighted to have you on. We have got a lot to talk about today. AI, huge topic of conversation. So when I reached out to you, I thought, right, you've been doing this now for a long time. I'm sure you have got a lot of thoughts and opinions on what's happening in the world right now. Before we dive into all of that, and we're going to go into a lot of detail today, I'm sure, can you give a bit of a background into who you are, your journey, and I guess what brought you here today? So over to you, Samantha. Amazing to have you on today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So yes, my name is Samantha Lengyel. I'm the CEO and co-founder of an AI ops company called Decoded.AI. And what we do, we're a SaaS platform to boost AI developer productivity by helping them to answer hard questions about their training pipelines and what they're building. So specific questions we help answer is, how compliant are they against a specific framework? Or how much might it cost to train on a specific architecture? Or how robust is the model against security risks like data poisoning? So all of these things are really hard to get right now, and we're trying to speed that up. Personally, I've been in the entrepreneurial space for about 5 years, and I've built models. I've been in the cybersecurity industry, really caring about building secure AI. And yeah, that's, I guess, my background.
Right. Well, you're definitely a good person to speak to about AI and what is currently happening, because look, it sort of feels like it's all of a sudden been a bit of a tidal wave where we've just been hit with it. You know, I mean, there's always talk of AI. Like I've worked in tech recruitment now for 10 years. There's always artificial intelligence was brought up, but nowhere near the way it is today. There's obviously ChatGPT, which was, you know, quite groundbreaking, and now everyone's just speaking about it, using it. And I think that's what ultimately people are kind of quite scared of, is that we seem to have gone from 0 to 100 really, really quickly. And all of a sudden we've got an influx of people being exposed to it. And what I'm sensing right now is there is so much fear in the media. Every headline is like, you know, we need to stop AI, you know, we need to pull back. Obviously, Elon Musk wrote that, you know, wrote sort of like warning letter and stuff. So what's your thoughts on it? You've obviously been in the industry, that sort of cybersecurity background. What I'd love to do is go, okay, what is the worst case scenario? Let's go there first. Let's go Terminator. If that is the worst case scenario, let's go there. Let's really, you know, talk to that, and then we can kind of maybe be more realistic. But if AI falls into the wrong hands, if we don't get control of it, what could happen?
That is a very good question, and it kind of I love how you put in Terminator because that is really deep, and it's kind of, when I was exposed to AI, that's kind of the first movies and types of things I was exposed to, like Blade Runner and Terminator. You see it as this kind of super intelligence that is set out to ruin the world, which is really scary, and I guess not what I think will happen if it gets into the wrong hands at this point. I think worst case scenario would be AI never truly reaches the potential of increasing productivity and revolutionizing the world, um, it stays in kind of the corporate, kind of big tech companies using it and wielding it in a way that benefits them. So it's locked away from um, certain people. And we've seen it in recent years that main people building these things are tend to be white males or from a very specific group. So as well, I think it's really hard to see a future in which it stays like that. I guess there are key people in the industry that are advocating it to be more responsible, to be open source, for more people to be a part of that building of it, so that it doesn't become really monotonous and solely for the purpose of very small groups of interest. So, for example, I think one thing that I would hate for the world to go to would be where AI is solely used to make money for advertisers or things where it isn't supporting as well and improving the lives of people. Yes. And yeah, obviously bias is also in that.
Oh, 100%. I think what you're describing there is a bit of more of a Web 2 model where, there were certain people that basically kept a lot of the power. There were certain tech companies that basically just sort of took over. And I think what I guess Web3 AI has the ability to do is give back power to the people. And I
Yeah,
completely
yeah,
agree with what you're saying there is that what the worst case scenario would be wouldn't that, we're going to get robots that want to kill us, but actually it falls into the wrong hands and it's used just for profit and power as opposed to a force for good. So
exactly.
that's
And I'm
worst
sorry.
case.
I love that you
Yeah.
brought up power because
Mm.
the way that my co-founder and I define AI is that AI is about feeding a decision to an autonomous system that actively co-shapes us. And what that means is we're giving over power to a machine. My micro decisions on a macro scale. Like this has lasting impacts on millions of people. And if we don't think about how we're giving over that power and what the effects of that is, like an example, I was speaking to high school girls yesterday around STEM and technology, and I was kind of explaining, well, when we're scrolling through a TikTok feed or an Instagram feed, you are giving over power to the algorithm to choose what it wants to show you, and that's something that we need to acknowledge and work into our lives. It's okay to cede over that power if you want, but I think it's very important to be cognizant
Mm, 100%. And it's so true. And it's like you've got the best developers and the best minds working on these platforms. And they're basically they're thinking, how can I get more eyeballs? How can I make this more addictive? And it is literally just
it
completely
is.
taking away
I mean, I
people's
personally
lives.
got addicted to it for like a solid year. I was using it to relax. That's what you scroll through your feed
Yeah,
and you relax.
100%.
To the point where I just deleted all
Yeah.
like feeds on my phone so I can kind of get back to experiencing life.
100%. I always say it, if I didn't need the social media platforms for business, I would have a
For
Nokia
yeah,
310 and I'd literally just make calls.
yeah, yeah,
I sometimes I think social media is a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's a blessing, again, a bit like AI, right? Going back there, we can use it for good. You can use it to get ahead. We can use it to launch businesses. We can use it for so many good things. But there's also a dark side to everything in life, right? That is just
absolutely.
so
Yeah.
important to keep in mind. Okay, so the worst case is it falls into wrong hands. Only one group of people get the power and can utilize its full potential. What's the best case scenario? Let's go there. Like, in an ideal world, where could it go?
Yes. I see AI being like the best case is um, there is an acknowledgement of how useful and supportive this technology can be. So people are actively choosing to cede powers to it and work with it as a tool. So it's woven into the fabric of our society, and there are people who understand deeply how to, yeah, get that full potential of these AIs. So an example that I think would be amazing would be when would, for example, in factory, like self-driving cars, that's a huge potential for like lots of different people to be able to now have autonomy, not have people to drive them to places. But currently it's struggling to get into market because people don't trust these technologies enough to cede a decision over to it. There are still limitations to it. So for me, I think use cases where you can see that power is where we're going to see huge adoption, huge enablement for people. If it takes, I think it will take jobs. That's kind of the purpose of AI. It is to see decisions, to create, what's the word? Create increased productivity where people aren't there. But I think people then will have the power to do things that they enjoy and move into jobs that are more suited to humans where AI can't.
Mm. I'm with you there 100%. And I think, there is people, again, this is another fear that it's going to take our jobs. But what, in your opinion, are the jobs that are at risk, and how, let's just go there. Yeah. The jobs that you think are going to be potentially obsolete or aren't needed as much because of AI.
I spent a lot of time thinking about this, especially with kind of generative AI coming out and like this mass adoption of it. And I think it's contextual, undifferentiated work. So I guess what that means is, so modern AI is amazing at doing contextualized but undifferentiated work. So like no code, low code, open source, like ChatGPT 3, like things like that is where, hang on, let me define what undifferentiated contextual work means. So it's work that doesn't give you a competitive edge. So like let's say you want to send out a marketing email to all your customers, and if it's okay that it's the same as your competitor and it's not any new content or anything new, then that's undifferentiated. And contextual, that means is it takes into account like the business name or the person that's like it's addressed to. So if your job is to do contextual, undifferentiated work, then that is ripe for AI to take over. And in my opinion, it was great maybe 2 years ago to do that, but now humans need to be thinking about how can I be different from my competitors.
100%. It's like, so those sort of, I guess, more manual tasks that people are doing. So for example, like if you're a copywriter or you're an email marketer, if I can just pump it into ChatGPT to say, hey, I'm Georgie, I run a recruitment company, I want to send a marketing message to 1,000 potential clients in Melbourne, and it's going to give me a message that potentially an email marketer could have put together. So that's potentially
Absolutely.
a job that could put in.
Whereas the human side of kind of talking to these people, seeing their problem, that the lights turned off. I think that is something that AI won't ever be able to take over.
100%. Yeah, that's really interesting because look, I also think about this a lot as well, and it's interesting. I think like some people are saying, oh, lawyers are not going to need lawyers anymore, but I think the thing is that this is when, as human beings, we need to look at ourselves and really identify where our gaps are. Because there's certain things that AI is never going to be able to do, right? AI is never going to be able to go into a courtroom and argue a case. AI is never going to, from a recruitment point of view, pick up a call to a candidate and, really find out what their motivations are and really build that rapport. AI is never going to be able to go and meet with potential clients and prospects. So that's the part that we need to develop: our communication skills, our soft skills, our emotional intelligence skills, our leadership skills, all the grunt work that just takes up our time. that's what can be outsourced. And then guess what? We can then spend more time doing the things that human beings are designed to do, human interaction. That's the bit that I think is going to be really interesting to watch over the next sort of
Yeah.
decade.
The part I like to focus on with what you said, which was really amazing, was um, humans are great at making people feel. And so a lot of the time in business, um, the best conversations, the best interactions we have in a day are the ones where you're feeling an emotion, either alignment or like tension, sometimes an argument or discuss in a discussion is interesting as well. So and that human element is very hard to replicate with AI, if not impossible.
100%. And that's the bit that we need. And that's, I think during COVID, we couldn't meet people face to face and it was all over Zoom. That really took a toll on a lot of people's mental health. Like we as humans, we
100%.
need that human connection, and that's
Yeah.
so important. So
a handshake, a hug, all of those
100%.
things.
Yeah. You can learn so much about somebody, just like, obviously what we're doing now is amazing. And this is what technology enables us to do, record a podcast, and I can see you on the screen, and that's fantastic. And I feel like there is a connection being built. But if we met face to face and had a coffee, that is just on a different level again. I think nobody can ever argue with that. Which again is kind of like really interesting. Which I understand why businesses now are encouraging people to come back into the office 3 days a week, because again, you cannot beat that human connection. And I'm all for hybrid working conditions. I've always been a big advocate for working from home, balance, and everything else. But I think again, when the way technology is starting to really integrate our lives, the need for human connection is going to become more and more and more needed in organizations. So what I love to
and it'll
dive
become more
into,
expensive, I think. Human
100%.
time and human interaction will be a premium resource, similar to what I think the luxury designer goods industry became, that handmade. So a human taking the time to hand stitch a piece of clothing, it became a premium, whereas the mass-produced factory pieces were much cheaper because you didn't have that person putting the time and human thought into it.
I love that. So if you okay, so there's going to be people listening to this right now that they're listening, they're going, right, I really want to get ahead. And, you've got two people in life, one person that's going to bury their head in the sand and think, nothing, my job's fine. This is going to happen to me. I'm just going to pretend that the world is how it's always been. And they're the people, unfortunately, they're going to be left behind. Then you've got somebody else that's going, how can I really maximize and benefit the tools, the technology for my greater good, to get ahead in my career, to get ahead in my business? So if you were somebody listening to this right now, maybe they're working, in a job, or they're thinking about, they're a small business owner. What are some of the things that you think they could be doing daily, weekly, monthly to really be maximizing their productivity using AI? Is there anything that you're doing in your business right now, utilizing the tools of AI, that's really propelling you forward?
Yes, I think that is a great question, and it's something that I'm still learning myself. So the fact that people are struggling or might not know is very understandable, because it's such a large industry. There's so many tools. There is a lot of noise, confusing people. So I think in the short term, as I mentioned, when people are looking to do differentiated work, things that are innovative and hasn't been done before, that is a great way to kind of set yourself apart. The way that kind of we've been using kind of ChatGPT or generative AI is actually in how we pitch. When we put a pitch through it and get feedback that is predictable, we know we haven't done a very innovative pitch. Sometimes we want a very kind of run-of-the-mill pitch, and we kind of, how would I say, we wield the generative AI to tell us what is already out there, what language people are using, because that is what it is. It takes data from the internet and it spits it out to you. So I think when people can actually understand that and wield that for themselves, I think that is a huge plus. You'll understand, how to pitch better or pitch differently. What's another way? I guess in the long term, I think people who are comfortable with seeding a decision, as well as those who understand the most important, the importance of evaluating whether a system is able to take on that decision, because I think that's where AI, best case scenario, is going, where you will get a choice whether to seed or not, but evaluating it and being great at understanding limitations of the system, of these technologies and these systems. Yes. I'm not sure if that one's helpful.
No,
it's very broad.
No, but look, I'm going to come on to pitching in a minute, because I know you've just won Startup Vic, which is very exciting. So I want to come on to that. But yeah, I think if you're not using some kind of AI tool in your business or your career right now, you've got a massive disadvantage as far as I'm concerned. For example, right, my partner does all of the editing for this podcast, and he will create a video, and it would take him 3 hours to cut up a video, edit it, put it out. He's using an AI tool, and I can't remember what it's called, but I will try and find out. And basically he uploads onto YouTube, puts a video onto this AI tool, and it just cuts everything up. Chop, 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 chop. 3 hours has been saved just by doing that. 3 hours. That's insane. So that's the first thing. That's a prime example of how literally you've just saved yourself 3 hours in a working day. Massive. Imagine how much more productive you could be if you got back 3 hours in your day, if this was part of your work task. Secondly, one of the things that used to take me ages in my business and recruitment is doing a lot of research about, places to headhunt, what companies use certain technologies. I just go to ChatGPT. Hey, can you pull up 10 companies similar to this? Great. And I just keep on asking questions, keep on redefining my search. Boom. There I've got 10 potential hunting grounds for another software engineer similar to that. Same as writing job briefs. I can go, I'm writing a job brief for X client. This person needs to have this. Can you please write this? Spit out a job brief. Great. Now, can you make sure that it's more appealing it's more gender diverse, so there's no unconscious bias in it? So much time is being saved in my day-to-day life. It's insane.
All of this summarization, the things in which, took time and effort, but wasn't directly linked with the value that a human provides. That 100% is sped up with the boom of generative AI currently.
Yeah, 100%. Yes. So much opportunity out there, and if you're not using it, you need to use it.
I mean, the way I've been, because I'm a huge advocate of just trying out lots of different products, and so I think if you haven't tried ChatGPT, to just kind of demystify it, it's essentially kind of looks, when you go onto the website, it looks like a Google search, and it has different questions that you could ask. Just kind of log on and see what questions you want to know. One of the first things I looked up was, can you provide a quick and easy meal plan for me for my week? Because I just didn't have the time to think about that. And that was an amazing use. I didn't use it for work, I used it for life. So there's so many ways that you can just easily lower the barrier to starting to use it.
100%. I think life hacks is fantastic as well. How do I stay mentally sane and run my business? Thanks, ChatGPT. Right. It's my therapist as well. But yeah, look, there's so many good things that can come of it. And I think you're right. There's so much negativity and fear mongering that's going around about AI. And that's why, I did want this to be a positive conversation today, because, I think that there is a lot of good stuff coming out of it. But Look, you're somebody that obviously has, really like got that entrepreneurial spirit. And I was obviously reading about the pitch that you won at Start at Victoria, which is absolutely incredible. Congratulations. You seem to be winning
Thank you.
a lot of pitch. Like maybe it's AI. Then thanks. Thanks, ChatGPT.
But
But
thank you.
look,
Yeah.
we're utilizing it to our benefit. But how
Yes.
did that come about? So you were pitching in front of 500 people. Hats off. I have been to pitch events, many before in the past, and I have so much respect for people that get up on that stage and pitch their idea. Can you talk about that experience? Because as an entrepreneur, public speaking, some people would rather go to their grave than speak in public. How did you prepare for that? And what was that whole experience like of like winning that
Yes.
award? It's
It was.
incredible.
I'll start from how like the creation of the pitch and getting ready of all of that.
Mm,
So I guess throughout my whole entrepreneurial journey, I have always had a huge focus on how I pitch the company. I'm not sure if it's a product of um, the fact that I am quite a young female CEO. I have to pitch it well and convincingly, and I have to persuade people in what I'm building. So if I don't pitch well, then that people don't tend to generously interpret how I pitch. So I was fortunate enough to be a part of the Canberra Innovation Network back in Canberra. Yeah, back in Canberra, and they taught us how to pitch um, in 1 minute, and that is so hard to do, to get your ideas into a very small amount of space and words. So for this pitch, I knew it was going to be kind of off the bat, it was going to be quite a large crowd. And I started when I was actually writing the pitch. I had feelings that I wanted people to feel instead of kind of writing the section. So I wanted the start to capture and bring the attention. Like I just had wow. And the second, I want to like build intrigue, and then so on. That's how I kind of started that. And then eventually, I wrote the pitch, lots of iterations, working late in the evenings because I had my day job as well. I had to keep running the company, and on the weekends. And then, yes, practicing it a lot. Practice it to my family as well, because if I'm nervous in front of them, like it helps when I'm pitching in front of a large group of people. In terms of the actual pitch day itself, I didn't expect everyone like there to. Sometimes they say it's going to be a big crowd, but it's in the evening, so a lot of people decide to go home. But there was actually over 500 people in the audience listening, and that was very daunting. I think it was the biggest pitch I've ever done in terms of crowd. Uh, and so I beforehand was very focused on kind of breathing, calming down, and kind of exerting, being comfortable in myself and knowing that I know the content, I know my company the best that I than anyone else, and to have fun as well. Not every day you stand up on a stage and have. It was a beautiful venue in the capital, owned by RMIT, and just kind of enjoying the experience. And honestly, I went not expecting to win. I went to promote our company, to hopefully connect or resonate with people. So it was a surprise when I did win, because the other companies were absolutely amazing as well.
Well, look, you don't win something like that without a good company and a good product. So what but it's true, like, there's so many startups that, so many people launch business every single day, and there's a stat, not many make it past 2 years, let alone 5 years. So what do you think, like, you must have identified a gap and a need in the market. Why do you think that it was Decoded AI, your business, your pitch that won?
Um,
And you
I
can show
think,
off, like.
um, I think what the main things that kind of pushed us over the line was we told a really great story from ideation, like the problem that we're really trying to solve, the problem that our customer is feeling. I really wanted the audience to feel the pain of the AI developer, that they're trying to build new, innovative AI, but they can't because of all these barriers in place. And then finally, when I did come to the solution, I really tried to keep it simple. I didn't go deep into the tech. If people wanted to learn more, they could come talk to me or my co-founder. I tried to give them a framing of our technology that was easy to digest. Then when I came onto the traction and us releasing it only a month ago and already getting so much adoption and people caring about the problem that we're solving, I think that kind of pushed us over the edge of, yes, there are people who care about it and are actually signing up and buying what we've built. So yeah, kind of the combination of this. But to me, pitching is storytelling. And if you can tell a good, compelling story, you're there. That is hard to do. It takes, we've been pitching since the beginning, and we have come a long way from those early pitches.
But what an absolutely incredible journey, and you're so right. And I think storytelling just is such a life skill. Full stop. It's a skill when it comes to sales. You know, if you can tell a story, if you can bring someone on the journey, and any business, the first question you ask is, "What problem am I trying to solve, and for who?" So I would really want to understand, because I do love technology and I love business. So what's the core fundamental problem that you are solving? If you could really imagine you're pitching again, and how does Decoded AI solve that? Because I'd really love to understand the business model. I think it's fascinating.
Absolutely. So I spent my time as an AI developer really, really struggling to connect what I've actually built to all the different stakeholders that were needed to be involved in helping the project succeed. So, for example, these stakeholders, whether it's a CISO, the CFO, all the different business units that are involved in either giving money or allowing a project to succeed, needs very, very different information. And as an AI developer, I just could not deliver those answers because most of the time, as a AI developer, the industry is in quite a young stage, not like software development where it's very professionalized. There's a lot of frameworks and tools out there that can help you deliver and build your product. So that problem of just, I want to connect what I built to the business is just not solved. And that is what we care about. So we like to say that we're kind of like the bridge between the tech and the mechanical code and business questions and the business risks and all whatnot. Does that give you a sense of the
Yeah,
problem?
absolutely. Because I can imagine, like you said, that now like software engineering has come such a long way, and there's just so much resources out there. You know, you could just, you can even ChatGPT can code for you now, which is incredible, right? But if you're the developer developing ChatGPT, you've got no one to turn to, you've got no one to ask questions to, you can't watch a YouTube video, you can't go and do a coding boot camp. So this is, if we're going to keep on advancing at the rate that we'd love to, we're going to need to help the people that are actually working on this technology day to day. So am I getting it right that that's what Decoded AI is wanting to
Absolutely.
be and do? Yeah.
Put perfectly, we are helping the coders, the people building AI, to build better AI because there is not much out there to help them.
God, that's amazing. Like you've really built something quite incredible here. So did you build it yourself with your partner?
Yes. So
Wow.
built it with my co-founder and partner, Josh. He's a CTO. He kind of led that the product production. I kind of came in when he needed me and he was like kind of too much to do. But I've spent more of my time building the business, talking to our customers, and yeah, it's been quite a wild ride.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. So talk to us about that ride then, because obviously, you've come from security engineering background into basically full-time entrepreneur, which is quite the transition. What have you learned so far about business? What some mistakes made, lessons learned, and I guess, yeah, how have you developed as a person throughout this whole journey as well?
Yes, that is a very good and hard question. I came from an arts background, actually. So I studied linguistics, and then I went into computer science. So I had I think a great base for an appreciation for human connection, research, and less of a focus on that technical side early on. And then I kind of went into coding for a bit, and then I came back to the business kind of human side, kind of full circle. And I think a lot of the mistakes I made was not backing myself enough. I think it is good to question yourself and question what you're doing and with the company. But it got to a point where I was doing that a bit too much and being a bit too reflective instead of just going forward and making the mistake first. So it's very kind of tentative and waiting a lot. So I call it the snare of preparation, preparing too much and then not actually executing quick enough. So we took a long time to actually sell to people and took a long time to actually get the product out there because we never thought it was ready. So if I were doing it again, I would have taken time to just put it out there and take it. And people were telling us that, but I think we had to make that mistake already to, they're like, just put it out there. It doesn't matter that it's not that great. And I think both Josh and I were like, no, we see, so like it's not what we've envisioned. We haven't built it to what we want it to be yet. So I think that is a big mistake I would redo. But that's in saying that it did really help us now that we've got a product that we are proud of and we want to shout it from the rooftops and connect to as many people as possible. What else? Is that kind of the question that you're
Yeah,
trying
no,
to?
absolutely. I think.
Yeah.
Well, look, you've touched upon something there that I'm also really passionate about, that whole like backing yourself piece, because we've had a lot of women on this podcast, and one woman in particular, she's a VC, and she came on to say that less than 2% of VC money is going to women and women founded businesses. And when I heard that, I was just like, what is going on? And she said it's not just the gap in that. She said it's a confidence gap. She said women, we don't back ourselves, we don't present ourselves, we just don't have the same confidence as some men,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
holding so many people back.
It
And
is.
that's why when I was reading your story about the fact that you got up and pitched in front of 500 people, it's so inspiring. And you know, we need more female founders, especially in tech, because this is the future, whether you like it or not. This is the way the world is moving. And like I said, you can bury your head in the sand and pretend it's not happening, or you can embrace it, learn, and be a part of the revolution. And we need more women to have a seat at the table, to have voices in technology, and to, you know, found companies and start companies and be entrepreneurs, because this is how we're going to make sure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, and we don't have the worst case scenario that you said at the start, where it's just all about power and profit. You know, we want to create a world where AI can enhance humanity and not destroy it. And that's what I'm so passionate about. It's why I do this podcast, and why, you know, I was so excited to speak to you today. So, you know, I guess as a female tech entrepreneur, what advice would you have for a woman listening to this right now, that maybe she wants to start her own business, or maybe she wants to start getting more into technology? Do you think that, you know, what advice would you give for her? That let's go there first. What advice would you have for a female wanting to start a business?
I guess something that I wish I knew at the beginning was people aren't going to generously interpret what you say. They're not going to support you. There will be people who support you, but a lot of the time at the very beginning, people are very adversarial and want to battle test and push down your ideas. And that's something that we need to learn to be a bit more resilient and kind of get really, really thick skin, because at the beginning that can be really, really tough. So I guess being ready for that, being ready that people won't kind of look to like, oh, how can I help you? Or how can I build on your idea? Or you didn't explain it quite well here. Let's see how we can improve it. It's more, oh, that wasn't expressed well, or like it wasn't building. It's very hard when your ideas are rough to get support. So finding people who, it is also very impressionable when people do generously interpret and build on ideas. And I would say look for those people because they're the ones who can support you and are willing to. And I think another thing that I would really want to emphasize is on that resilience piece. So I think it took about three years for people to actually start listening to what I was saying. And it's because I didn't have credibility whatsoever. I had to actively go out and win awards, win pitches, win grants. All of these things helped people realize, oh, you are worth listening to, which is really sad, if I'm being honest. People weren't just happy that people prefer to listen to 5 minutes of credibility than 1 minute of an idea. And that's I hope will start to change. But at the moment, it's where the world's at, I think. So if you are starting to look on your journey, really pinpoint what parts of your experience can you use to persuade people to listen to you.
There's such powerful advice, and I think that there's just not one person that's risen to success or launched something that's going to be game changing that hasn't had to deal with rejection. Rejection is just such a big part of it. Like it's massive, especially when you're going on an entrepreneurial journey. People, they're busy. If you don't grab their attention the first 10 seconds, they switch off. Oh, why am I wasting my time? Right. That happens. It just does. And you, again, we can go and be deflated by that, or we can go, okay, well, that just means I need to, instead of sending 10 pitch decks, I need to send, absolutely be better. And maybe need to send 100 pitch decks, maybe 1,000 pitch decks.
Yeah.
And then it's taking self-responsibility to be like, okay, what do I need to work on? Because we can't play the blame game. We can't just go, it's the economy's fault. It's the system's fault. Okay, yes, that is unfortunate that we do live correct. And it's unfortunate that we live in a world where, like you said, you need to have evidence and credibility before you can even get a foot in the door. But like you've done, you've gone to multiple pitch events, you've developed your pitch over time, you've worked on your self-confidence, you've practiced in front of your family members, you stumbled, but you've kept on going. And that's why now you deserve all the success that I'm sure you're going to experience. And I can't wait to see what you do next, because it sounds honestly like you've developed something that is going to be incredibly important for the future and where we're going with this new technology. So
absolutely. I mean, on that, I guess I guess it was very hard at the beginning, but what I love about that was it forced me to be better and be 10 times better than the people around me, so that now I can I know what an amazing pitch is. I have it in my mind, and if I'm not there, at least I know what people care about or how to captivate an audience. And so sometimes resilience makes or going through adversity makes stronger people.
It does. Let's face it, we don't grow when everything's going well. Like, we learn from the struggles. And I think there's not probably one business owner right now that is thinking about, we're in a bit of a tough time. The market has turned. There are some tech layoffs happening at the moment, and we're in a recession. And again, it's these times, tough times, make tough people. How you show up, how you're behaving, your mannerisms, do you sort of pause and have fear, or do you go, there's still opportunity? And while everybody else is afraid and going, oh God, what's happening? You're just staying in your own lane, executing and just doing the work every single day. That's what sets people apart, in my personal experience. And it's not always easy. Some days, Pete, you just want to stay in bed and have a good cry. But it's on those days where you get up, you dust yourself down, you have the self-discipline to keep going. They're the days that count. It's really, really important.
For me, when I'm having those days, if I think, well, if I give at least 50% or even 20%, it's more than staying at home or having that zero. Because you don't always have to be 100%.
No.
You just have to show up.
Correct. That's such a powerful thing you just said then. You don't always have to be 100%, because you can't always be 100%.
No.
Just show up. and do your best. And as long as you do that every single day, you can put your head on the pillow each night and go, did I do my best today? Yes, I can sleep well tonight. And that's what counts, right? Oh God,
Absolutely.
I could speak to you. There's just so much that I could go into different conversations. But look, what is next for Decoded AI? Where do you see the business in the next year, 5 years, 10 years? Do you have goals with it? Where do you want to take it?
That is a good question. I see Decoded AI being used and wielded by businesses building leading edge AI, building like true innovation. So my dream is that at least 50% of AI companies are using AI, using Decoded AI, and building better systems. That's my dream, because my goal is I don't want people building mediocre, biased, unsecure systems that aren't going to help the world. Within 10 years, I think I'm a great founder, but I don't think I'm a CEO of a 2,000 person company. So I think I would want to step away, because I love ideas. I love taking something from something so small to a viable business, and then I think I would hand it off to people to grow it.
That's great self-awareness. You already know your strength. You know that's your area of expertise. And I think, you clearly are a good founder, because to be winning, pitches and standing up on stage in front of, 500 people is very inspiring. And I honestly look forward to just following your journey. I think, you've developed something that's so innovative, and it's going to be very, very interesting to watch how your business and product grows over the next, 2, 3, 5 years and beyond. So congratulations on everything you've achieved so far. It's really inspiring. But
thank you, sir.
Samantha, where can I send people to find out more about you or the amazing work you're doing? And, if they are a business or a developer, they want to learn more about Decoded AI, where can I send them?
So 2 places, either coming to our website, Decoded.AI. It's the same as our name, super easy. And there's a form there if you'd like to speak to us or send us. There's also an email as well. Or you can contact me on LinkedIn. I'm just Samantha Lengyel on LinkedIn, and connect with me.
We'll pop all the links below. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I hope everyone that's listening has learned something today, and also hopefully feels optimistic about the future and this new incredible technology that is going to be a big part of our lives, I'm sure. So Samantha, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you enjoy these episodes, the number one thing you can do to help us grow and keep spreading our mission and message is to hit the subscribe button. And if you have time, give us a quick rating. Appreciate each and every one of you who tune in every week, and we look forward to bringing you many more episodes this year. Take care.